And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today, taking a look at the news and having a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And of course, if you wanted to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. That is at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta, Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. As always, I do try to read through as many of the comments as is plausible, so I'll go ahead and say hello to some of the people who have chosen to chime in thus far. And of course, you already probably saw a monkey there, being joined by two felines in the room right now, Dusty, who is on the floor, and Monkey, who is sitting on the table right in front of me. See, Jane has joined us, as well as Helter, Donna Beaver, who reminds us, thumbs up, like, and share. Brian is here, Semper Fi, Dragon, Tom E is here. Glad you all could make it. As well as Cyberjack Sr. Of course, one of the top news stories of the day is going to end up being the debate. A lot of people are going on and on about it. I did not watch the whole thing. I watched enough because you already knew the direction it was going in, but I have some interesting takeaways from it. One thing that I thought was interesting was how one-sided it was. And we'll get into that in a moment. One thing I did want to mention first, though, before we get into anything here, let me see, is, of course, it is the anniversary of 9/11. And I think it's rather interesting that when I looked it up earlier, when I pulled this up earlier on the search engine, it said that the anniversary that it had been, it's gone now. And let me open up this page. I see Dilo has joined us. This is the page that opened up. This is not the page that opened up, rather, when I looked it up a little while ago, like about an hour ago. Now they have this thing about White House statement from President Joe Biden 9 hours ago. What was here was a prompt from Google that said that the anniversary was 20 years ago. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was 23 years ago. Has it been that long since they updated anything? Because they keep telling you never forget, but it sure seems like everybody does, doesn't it? And, history is there pretty much. History is supposed to be there to be remembered, but very often it's there to be forgotten. It goes into the dustbin of life, and then you never think about it again. Right? Even think about, for example, U.S. presidents. How many U.S. presidents can you name off the top of your head? And of those presidents, and I don't mean recent ones, I mean from the past. And of those, how many of them did anything to contribute at all? And these are famous people in important positions, and they're forgotten. And so are most things. Never forget, they said that about World War I. They said that about World War II, and so on. And Nature is here from Vancouver Island, watching today, joining us today. But yeah, today is the 23rd anniversary, correct? 23rd anniversary. And I saw the snippet with Biden yesterday where he said that he had to run out and do 9/11 tomorrow. Yeah, I got to do 9/11 tomorrow. Then I'm going to meet my wife or something like that. And it's like, yeah, let me just hurry up and do 9/11 and get that over with. Raccoon has joined us, as well as Fluke Man. Glad you could make it today. Again, being joined by two felines in the room. I got Dusty and Monkey here keeping me company. Monkey is sitting right in front of me. You just can't see him. But yeah, they're the big news story, because no one apparently cares about 9/11 anymore. It's been long enough, historically speaking, that never forget just doesn't seem to matter. the debate, and this is a Time magazine article, and just glancing through this real quick, very one-sided, and pretty much every article that I have seen has been very, very one-sided. It's either sat there and said, oh yeah, Trump was the clear winner of the debate, or it said that, you guessed it, Kamala was the clear winner of the debate. I don't know that I could say anyone was a clear winner, but I do know that her talking points I don't trust. And here it says Trump-Harris debate, here are the biggest moments. Actually, for me, the biggest moment was when the subject of firearms came up. She claims that she owns guns. Oh, really? Then why are you trying to take them from everybody else? Why have you been trying to take them from everybody else for 34 years, but now all of a sudden you don't have a problem with the Second Amendment, and we're supposed to believe you? This, my personal takeaway from the debate was really that it was 3-on-1. You'll notice, or you might have noticed, there was no fact thing that Kamala said, but Trump was fact checked, including about the eating of pets. That was brought up. And they said, oh, that's not true. But, go to any news stories about Springfield, Ohio, and there's even been arrests regarding that. So, yeah, the hell they are. They are catching ducks at the local ponds. They are kidnapping cats and so on. And that's a problem that has happened in other border states in the past. Because people are coming from countries where that sort of thing is normal. They don't care that they're in the United States. They don't care they came here, but they don't give a damn. And we'll talk a little bit about that more later. But yeah, he got fact check every turn. But she wasn't touched. Kamala was not touched. She did not bother with the media after the fact. That's another takeaway. She saying that Trump was, and actually they opened with that Trump was going to tax everybody, and he was like, no, it's tariffs, it's not the same thing. And her implication is that then the tariffs are going to cause everything to be even more expensive, and that's not true either, because that's what he was doing when he was president, and that wasn't the case. Dragon says, pointless to even watch. You can't debate someone who lies nonstop, namely Harris. Brian says there's theory Israel was behind 9/11 because of the Israelis filming and celebrating the attack, as well as Netanyahu saying it was beneficial. I don't know. And Flukeman says it's sad there are endless lists of people like Jazz Jennings and Kardashians getting more limelight. Never used to be like that until social media came along. I know. And the Kardashian socialites, they're professional socialites. They don't even have any talent. They don't even have any talent. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. But that's the basic takeaway for me. She hit all the usual attacks, talking about Roe versus Wade and how she's different Biden. You could guess. You could guess. Oh, and also the accusations about Project 2025, which I heard a commercial for that this morning on the car radio. They use sound bites. This is really interesting. I had to look for the commercial and see if I can get away with playing it. They use sound bites from Trump, and they didn't sound like modern sound bites. You know what I mean? How you get older and your voice changes. It sounded like earlier Trump, like not current or even during his presidency. And I'm like, where'd they get these sound bites from? 1980s? And they splice together, he says 4 words here and 5 words there, and then they talk about the dangers of Project 2025, and then you hear Kamala Harris's voice saying, I'm Kamala Harris and I approve this message. And I'm like, people are still on that whole Project 2025 things. How many times does he have to say he's not involved with it? His thing is Agenda 47, right? Because he would be the 47th president if reelected. And it's on his website. You can go and read it. And people really bought in with that Project 2025. I've actually driven around in the Atlanta area and seen people stand out on the street corner holding signs that says Agenda 2025 or Project 2025. Look it up. And like, yeah, did you? Because obviously you don't know anything about you don't know anything about it either. Unbelievable. Moderators fact check the debate, sparking both praise and criticism. Yeah, but they did not fact check Kamala. And Kamala, not only was she not entirely honest, but she dodged a lot of questions and she wasn't called on it. They let it slide. Where'd you go? Oh, okay, he's laying behind me. Kitty's on the floor. They let it slide. Now, here's another takeaway from the debate, and I think this is really interesting. For those of you who can see, all right, these are the images from last night. Okay, there's Trump on the left and there's Kamala on the right. Now, I'm going to show you an extreme close-up. I'm going to show a close-up of Kamala from the debate. Okay, this is important. And I want to know why this is not being talked about in the media at all, because I think it's rather important. Here we go. Here it comes. Here's a close-up from that. There she is. Take a close look at her earring, for those of you who can see. Big, fat pearl with this little gold stem that goes down and behind her ear. You see it? Give everybody a chance to look at this. This is probably more important than anything that was said. Her earrings. And you're like, what the hell is the deal with the earrings? And also ask yourself why this is not being generated in media right now. Because this is all over the place, but not in mainstream media. I haven't seen it yet. It may come up, but I haven't seen it yet. All right, everybody has seen this, correct? Let's look at the next image. That is an ad for the Nova H1 audio earring set. Look familiar? And I'll make a close-up of this. Ready? There it is. The Nova audio earrings. Clip-on pearl earring, which doubles as headphones. Which meant that she was being fed something. That's what those are. Are we to assume she always has those on? And she just forgot to take them off, maybe? Does that not violate the agreement with ABC? That because you're not supposed to receive input from anyone. They weren't even allowed to have notes. They had a pad of paper and they could write things down, but they weren't allowed to bring out pre-prepared responses. How did that slip through? And I'll back this up again so you can take another look. There she is. It could be just a coincidence. Maybe they just happen to look like the headphone earrings, the Bluetooth earrings. Maybe they just look that way and it's just a huge coincidence. But that's if it's true and they are the Nova H1 audio earrings, then she violated the agreement with ABC. And the sad part is there are many people who will accept that. They'll sit there and say, oh yeah, you know, whatever it takes to beat Trump. They will vote for her because of what color she is. They will vote for her because she's female. They will vote for her because they just do not like Trump because that's what they've been told. Everybody loved Trump until he ran for president, but yeah, we don't like him now. And so I'm not going to vote for him. I'll vote for anybody but him, even if it's the devil himself. And we've seen this expressed in his lawsuits. I'm sure everybody by now is aware. Even people who are glad that he was indicted in New York in the hush money trial, even people that are happy about it, admit that they know that he was railroaded, that they twisted the law to make it work for them. They cheated the law in order to get a conviction. You broke the law to enforce the law. That's acceptable because it's Donald Trump. What happens when it's you? What happens when it's someone from your family? Because stuff like that happens to the rest of us. It doesn't typically happen to someone who can afford to fight it, which is the only reason he's not sitting in jail. He can afford to fight it. I couldn't. I would have been sitting in jail the entire time waiting for trial because I wouldn't have been able to afford the bail. And then I would have been locked up officially. He can afford to fight it. That's the only difference. But people get screwed over like that all the time. But yeah, oh yeah, Trump by any means necessary attitude from people that know rules are being broken and they don't seem to care as long as they think somehow they are going to benefit from it. And they're not. That's the sad part. They're not going to benefit from it. But to me, this is the most interesting thing. Forget what they said. Who cares what they said? It doesn't matter. You already know what Trump stands for, and you already know what Kamala stands for. And just like Bernie Sanders in his interview on the slide admitted, yeah, well, you know, she says that she's not going to ban fracking now, and she says that she's pro Second Amendment now, and she says this, that, and the other. But that's just talking points to get elected. Bernie Sanders telling you she's faking her way through it. And she's going to pull a huge freaking okie doke when the time comes. Basically, that's what it boils down to. But if you're listening and you're not able to see, yeah, look up Kamala Harris earrings to find a story on the subject. Because unfortunately, the mainstream media has not picked up on it yet. I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting for it to see what they have to say or how they justify it. Oh, well, she always uses those and she forgot to remove them. And I guess we're supposed to imagine that the staff at ABC didn't notice this, or, oh, she turned them off, or, you know, whatever lame excuse that they come up with. Oh, it's a coincidence. They just look like those types of earrings, which is plausible. It could be that they just look that way. They just look that way. Who's to know? Who's to know? Who's to say for sure? Who's to say for sure? Who is to say for sure? Oh, and by the way, tomorrow is the day 2 of our felines will go to the Center for Adoption. They should be taking 2 of them from us for tomorrow morning. I'm supposed to deliver them. And then we'll be down to 18. 18. So prayers that they get a good home. I hate this part. I hate this part because I always worry that whoever they end up with will not take as good care of them as I try to. And my argument always is, hey, I ended up with them for a reason. You know, a lot of the ones I take care of are strays or abandoned animals or animals that have been really badly abused. Anyways, Brian says he's been getting a lot of errors trying to type comments. Yeah, I noticed there was no comment coming in for a while. So we'll see if it starts rolling in again. I'm not sure why that would happen. ScrewTube messing with me again. Helter says the people who will vote for Harris will regret their decision. They'll bitch and blame someone else for voting with their Meocean. Meocean, is that a typo or a word I'm not familiar with? But yeah, just like with Obama, there's a lot of people after the second term who said they seriously regretted having voted for him. You heard tons of people saying that. Oh, I'll never do that again. But then they probably do. They probably do, probably did, probably have. He ran on the second term on the campaign of give me another chance, hook a brother up, basically. Give me another chance. You got to let me finish. Finish what? You haven't started anything. What the hell's going on? What the hell's going on? But yeah, they'll blame somebody else. There you go. Helter says emotion. Yes, that was a typo. There we go. There we go. That makes more sense. Voting with emotion. Voting on emotion or voting on a ticket like I had talked about before with my wife's coworker. Gotta look out for the sister. Gotta hook a sister up. And it's like, what the hell does that mean? So she can ruin the country, but if she's dark enough, yeah, let's vote for her. That makes perfect sense. And John has joined us here. Glad you could make it today, John. Don't know if you were there in time to see the earring. You were there in time to see the earrings, which to me was one of the most important things that came out of the debate last night. Never mind the fact that they only fact-checked Trump, which means that ABC was very left-leaning, deliberately so, and that she avoided talking to the press after the fact. She didn't want to be bothered. But yeah, look up again, Kamala Harris earrings and see. And Brian, yeah, they should change the name to ScrewTube. Well, it's not ScrewTube for everyone. It all depends on what you talk about, apparently. It's not ScrewTube for anyone, just me. Just me and Miss Owens, apparently, who has been suspended for a week for having an interview that they didn't care for. It's not about the interview, it's about her. ScrewTube doesn't like her. And that's really why she was suspended in my opinion. As we jump to Springfield, Ohio here, because, oh, they've got a solution. They've got a solution now. Don't worry about your pets being eaten anymore. Don't worry about vehicles crashing or driving over people's lawns. Don't worry about people setting up tents in your front yard. The governor of Ohio has a solution. Daily Mail article. The Ohio governor is sending aid to Springfield amid a migrant surge. Migrant surge, they've been pouring in there for 4 years. Okay, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine has announced that he will send troopers and millions of dollars to Springfield amid a surge of Haitian migrants. The Republican said Tuesday he doesn't oppose the temporary protected status program under which some 15,000 Haitians have arrived in the city of about 59,000 people since 2020, but said the federal government must do more to help impacted communities. Okay, first of all, it's not 15,000, it's 20. 20,000. I can excuse them saying 59,000 residents because it's about 60,000. So 1,000 or so, yeah, okay. But don't tell me 15,000 and all the other accounts are 20. Second of all, he says federal government must do more to help impacted communities. Translation, I want money. That's what he wants. However, as we get further into this, on Wednesday, the Ohio State Highway Patrol will be dispatched to help local law enforcement with traffic issues that officials say have cropped up due to an increase in Haitians unfamiliar with U.S. traffic laws using the roads. Why are they using the roads? Do they have American driver's licenses? And if so, how did they get them? DeWine also said he's earmarking $2.5 million over 2 years to provide more primary health care through the county health department and private healthcare institutions. So he's going to send them $2.5 million for the next 2 years, $0.25 million for a year for 2 years, and a couple of extra state troopers from the highway patrol. That'll help them with the 20,000 Haitians that are tearing the community to pieces. Thank you, Governor DeWine. That's perfect. That makes a lot of sense. Oh my God. And Puck is here. He says 2 of my comments disappeared. Yeah, Brian was just complaining about that. And Urban says, good morning from a rainy coast. Puck says, Ohio governor sending additional pets and park animals to Springfield. There you go. That's what he's going to do. And Flukeman says, so now they want to turn a small community into a military state. No, he means state troopers. which means that the highway patrol officers that usually patrol the highway adjacent to Springfield, catching people up in speed traps, will now coast in and out of the town through the exits, which is how many? Usually about 3 or 4 a shift. And then he's going to send them 1.25 million for this year and 1.25 million extra money for next year, but only for healthcare services. That's not going to help anything. And then emphasizes that the federal government, again, must do more to help impacted communities. Translation, send me money. That's all that ever means. Goes on to say, on Monday, Republican Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost also drew attention to the crisis when he directed his office to research legal avenues, including filing a lawsuit to stop the federal government from sending an unlimited number of migrants to Ohio communities. Because it's not just Springfield that's having this problem, but Springfield, for some reason, all of the illegal immigrants they got were Haitian. And it's not even technically illegal immigrants anymore because they were given political asylum. They were allowed political asylum, and that's why it's so hard to move them around. DeWine's comments came just hours before the presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former Republican President Trump, where Trump brought up unfounded claims that migrants have been eating pets in Springfield. The people in the Springfield town meetings have already said this. They've already said this. Now you're going to make it sound like he's making that up. Who's lying? The people at the town council that are screaming about pets? The people who have photographs of them hunting ducks and geese in the park? Who's lying? It says Ohio has already provided additional resources to Springfield to help with education and training for drivers, to pay for more vaccines. Oh my God. Yeah, that's really going to help. And maybe the way, don't get me started on conspiracy theories with vaccines. And health screening in schools to enhance translation services, according to DeWine. But he will be taking no additional action. No additional action. Dragon says he couldn't or wouldn't do anything during the East Palestine train wreck. We know it's just to show people, hey, we actually had to send help, so it isn't just a made-up lie. And All People says, isn't Project 25 a list of Heritage Foundation goals, not of Trump campaign? Yeah, he doesn't have anything to do with it. His thing is Agenda 47, and it's on his website. He's denounced Project 25 over and over and over again for the last few months and said, hey, that's not me. That's not my program. That's not what I'm trying to do. Leave me alone. Puck says people like Governor No Spine. Yeah, give Republicans a bad name. And Monkey says there's even a body camera of an officer arresting the woman for eating the cat. I know. I saw that. I saw the good Lord, Kitty. What are you doing? I saw the arrest page for that she caught and ate a cat, and she was arrested for it because it was somebody's pet. But apparently that's a lie. Apparently Trump lied about that, and the media is making it up because we can't say anything negative about migrants. Isn't that right, Kitty? We can't say anything negative about migrants. We're supposed to they're undocumented citizens. Was that the term they were using before? And Nature Nerd says the debate was entertaining with Trump talking about migrants eating pets in Ohio. Truth is stranger than fiction. Yeah, it is. But again, these people are coming from cultures where that sort of thing is normal. And we know this is true. They do that in a lot of these other countries. They do that. Everything's on the menu. Everything is on the menu in a lot of these other countries. And plus, these people don't care. They don't care about American laws. They don't care about American laws. And Puck says that he read Project 25. He doesn't see the problem with it. Well, apparently liberals have a huge problem with it. And Eric Peter says, how do you stay positive day to day with so much negativity from our political system? Maybe I'm just too involved. Yeah, because it's toxic. It is toxic, but you know, cats help. See, look at that face. How can you still be upset and see a face like that every day? Well, I'm surrounded by cats. I got my wife. She's a really good woman. She's a good woman. But yeah, he's being real clingy right now. He's being extra clingy right now. As you can see, he's trying to dig under my beard, so my beard's about to be a mess. And Baki says, the kitten. Yeah, indeed. There he goes. There he goes. I'll be down again to 18 tomorrow, as long as everything goes well with the adoption proceedings at the shelter. I'll be down to 18. So as we shift around here, this is important. This ties in with a lot of what's been going on in social media recently. I'll read one more comment here from Monkey. Not this monkey, because this cat is named Monkey, but the other monkey. He says, especially when Haiti is in a hellstorm right now where cannibal gangs are in the streets. Yeah. And that's not an uncommon practice in some of these countries either. As I had mentioned the other day, there's problems in the continental Africa with albinos being a protected people because the witch doctor rituals call for their flesh. Albinos have magic and they chop them up. It's scary. But that's, yeah, look it up. There's some really horrible documentaries about that subject. Really horrible documentaries. So Daily Caller, our State Department worked with fact checkers, academics to censor conservative media, according to released reports. Are you surprised? Are you shocked? Are you shocked at all? The U.S. State Department collaborated with fact checkers and academics in an effort to target conservative news outlets, according to a report by the House Small Business Committee. The report was the result of an investigation spanning more than 14 months. The investigation found that an intricacy body housed within the State Department, the Global Engagement Center, went around its international mandate by funding, developing, and promoting tech startups and other small businesses in the disinformation detection space to private sector organizations for censorship purposes, according to the report. The report was first obtained by the Washington Examiner. The report also accuses the National Endowment for Democracy of breaking international regulations by working with fact-checking organizations in assessing domestic press businesses' admission to a credibility organization. One of the businesses specifically mentioned in the report was the Daily Caller. The GEC recently granted taxpayer money to the Institute of War and Peace Reporting, which gave a sub-award to the Ponier Institute for Media Study. Into the documents, the sub-award went towards persuading international news outlets to take part in Ponier's International Fact-Checking Network Code of Principles, a group of news and information organizations that abide by a certain set of qualities denoting journalistic standards, according to the report. And that's a pretty big word salad, but the bottom line is that the federal government, through their government agencies, third and fourth partied money to fact-checking digital startups in order to manipulate the data to criticize anything that might have a conservative viewpoint, clearly violating the law. That's sort of happening, but it has happened, and they can prove that it happened now. So the question becomes, what the hell is going to be done about it? Is anyone going to be held accountable for this? Are any stopgaps going to be put in place to prevent it from happening again? What's going to come of it? What's going to come of it? Puck says he saw a video of a guy eating a human leg during a riot in Haiti. Nice. Nice. The House report alleges that it appears GEC staff were included in a Google email thread where IFC and assessors criticized conservative media applications, including the Daily Caller and its fact-checking arm called Check Your Fact. So this is a Daily Caller article admitting that apparently the federal government, through a third or fourth party, was funneling money to their fact-checking organization, quote, Check Your Fact, and manipulating the Daily Caller's data from within. That's really interesting. All People says Baby Monkey, Teeny Tiny Uncle, and Gigantic Miss Kitty are the Three Musketeers. Miss Kitty, yeah. Oh, Miss Kitty or Granny Smith. Miss Kitty doesn't like anybody. She's no one's musketeer. Wow. It says, Check Your Fact is funded from the Daily Caller's newsroom budget, and the Daily Caller is funded by the Daily Caller News Foundation. Michelson wrote in a February 22nd email cited in the report, so where does the DCNF get its money from? Providing tax forms and how much revenue the DCNF takes in does nothing to answer the question. Because, so basically, yeah, why is the DCNF funneling money to the Daily Caller's fact-checking organization to manipulate data? And it's not just them. It's not just them. There are several news outlets that have been manipulated in this way. Several news outlets have been manipulated in this way. Come on, monkey, what are you doing? Now that you've made a mess out of my beard. It's enough to manage on its own. Oh my. And Puck says that Trump is is screwing up by caving into Democrats on the Project 25. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the whole Project 25 thing. I mean, he has his own agenda, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But I don't know what it is in that data, because it's almost 1,000 pages. It's like 928 pages or something, the Project 25 document. Who the hell's read all the way through it? I haven't. I've looked at a few bullet points from it, but whatever. And some of the things that I saw in there aren't necessarily anything I would disagree with, like getting all the agenda stuff out of public schools, for example. Semper Fi says the government's finger of influence in everything has gotten worse. Even the lawsuit against Google incognito browsing wasn't private. It won't get better if the same administration controls the White House. No, it's going to get worse. It's going to continue to get worse. But that's more proof. I mean, we already had, for all the good it does, we already had Zuckerberg even confess that he was manipulated. Euro People says, sorry, I meant Granny Smith. It's no problem. No big deal. No big deal. I know who you're talking about. Because Granny Smith is a sweetheart. And she squeaks. She doesn't meow. She makes these funny little squeaking and popping noises. I have no idea why. Vet doesn't know either. It's chirping. She sounds like a bird. But yeah, it's just going to continue to get worse. And speaking of worse, this is a really interesting law enforcement story that I'm going to try to I'm going to show you here. It's just been revealed, but this happened. This actually happened a month ago. Okay, a month ago, and this took place in where was it? If I can even remember. If I can even remember what state this was in off the top of my head. I'm sure it'll come up in the article. But this is a very disturbing police invasion, civil rights violation. Desert Sun article. Look for this and see if you can find the video clip. I'm hoping the video clip is on here. Palm Springs Desert Sun. Riverside Sheriff investigating incident that led to arrest depicted in viral video. And it is a viral video now. but the video was only released a couple of days ago. And from what I understand, the sheriff's office said they weren't even aware of this video. Now, this woman, and everybody involved here is Caucasian, by the way. All right. That woman in the doorway is Caucasian, as are the other people that are in this house. Now, she not only has a doorbell camera, but she has a camera in her vestibule as well, which is why this is being filmed, because there's a camera on the wall behind her. Okay. And this guy clearly violated her rights. It says the Riverside County Sheriff's Office investigating the circumstances that led to the arrest of a French Valley woman in the early hours of July 4th. Oh, that's longer than a month ago. But this video only just surfaced like 2 days ago, literally. The arrest is the subject of a video containing profanity circulating online showing a deputy refusing to leave the woman's residence despite her request. According to the video, a minor answered the door after the deputy rang the bell. Captions in the video say the minor closed the door after seeing the deputy, only for the deputy to open the door and let himself in. Video then shows the deputy arguing with the woman identified by the sheriff's office as Adele Shirley, who's 44, who tells the deputy, if you don't have a warrant, then she'll speak to him outside of her home. The deputy, who stands inside the door's threshold, tells Shirley he will not leave the house. He asserts his right to be inside by pointing off screen and saying, they opened the door and ran from me. Now that I'm inside your house, I own your house right now, quote, the deputy says in this video. After Shirley points at the deputy, he grabs her, pulls her out to the front porch, and puts her in handcuffs. Okay, she's been booked and she's pending trial. She's pending trial, so she's still waiting for her hearing. And I'm trying to see if there's an actual video of this, because I do want to show this. I do want to show this to everyone. Riverside Sheriff video, because it's a lot worse than it sounds. It's a lot worse than it sounds. If I can find the right one. If I can find the right one. Because what they're going for, is this the one? Trying to see if I can find it for you so I can run it for those of you who can see, or if you can't see, at least you'll be able to hear this. At least you'll be able to hear it if I can find the video clip. Because the argument on the part of the sheriff's office, or of this particular in particular this deputy, is that it was a hot pursuit situation. This is what's being claimed. Okay, it's a hot pursuit situation, that because the person who answered the door ran from the door, he has a right to pursue them into the home. That's the claim. But that doesn't fly, legally speaking, because there was no crime, number one. Number two, it was a minor. So there was no probable cause for him to enter the home. The kid answered the door, and this is why you always tell your children, by the way, do not answer the door. Do not answer the door. The kid was presumptuous answering the door. So the child opened the door, saw a deputy, and then closed the door and ran to get mommy. Okay? Ran to get mommy. And he calls that probable cause. He calls it probable cause. I think I found it. I think I found the video. So he invaded her property. She asked him to step outside. She says, if you want to talk, we can go outside. It starts where? Right here. I think this is where it starts. So it's if you want to talk, I'll step outside with you. Let me switch the video. And he refuses to leave. He refuses to leave. All people says investigate him now and then fire him immediately. It's an abuse of power. Yeah, and Helter says this looks like an armed home invasion, aggravated grand larceny, kidnapping, at least one civil rights violation. She would need a civil rights attorney. She would need a civil rights attorney. Here it is. It starts off a little messy, but I'm gonna it'll clean up. So here we go. That's him ringing her door. And he goes and waits, right? He's walking around in the yard. The little kid is going to answer the door. And the kid runs. And then he goes and forces his way in. All right. Now, this is the second camera inside the home. It's important also to note the reason why this deputy is there is because of a noise complaint. A neighbor called and said that there was loud music or something. Okay. There was loud noise. I don't hear anything from that doorbell camera. It doesn't sound like there's any loud noise to me, but this is hardly probable cause to force his way in and start anything. Now let's continue.
You do not have a right to be inside my house. I will talk to you outside.
Back up and talk to her outside. No.
You don't have a word. No, don't talk to them. You do not have a word to be inside. I will talk to you outside.
You want?
Officer, I will talk to you.
I am not going to step outside your house.
You do not have a word to be inside of my house.
I'm not inside your house. Okay.
You're inside of my house.
Let me tell you why I'm right here.
Because you walked in.
No, because they opened the door and ran from me.
And
that's why.
A child opened the door, saw a deputy, and then closed the door and to go and get their parent, to go get the mother. You are claiming right now hot pursuit of a minor with no crime to back it up. I mean, I could understand if the kid was running from the liquor store with a bag of money and a gun, and you're chasing them and they ran in that house, then you could go in without a warrant. That's the law. There's no probable cause for entry.
I'm telling you, I am the adult
and I'm
here.
telling
This
you
is my home.
that now that I'm inside your house, I own your house right now.
You do not.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
You heard that? I own your house right now. He actually said it.
What I mean?
I know my rights.
I don't care if you know your rights.
And I'm telling you, my dog will bite you if I tell her to bite you.
Tell
So
your
I'm
dog to
asking
bite
you to back
Tell
up.
your dog to bite
and I will talk to you outside.
I'm not going to talk to you outside.
What the f do you want? What the f do you want inside my house? Bring your supervisor to my home now.
Now, she just requested a supervisor, which she's legally entitled to.
Yeah, bring them all. You have no right to be inside. No, don't talk to them.
Please.
You have no right to be inside because they opened the door. They're minors. I'm the adult here. This is my home.
She said he's the adult.
She's not the f. She's my daughter. Get the f out of my
I'm
home.
not going to get out of your house.
Then call your f***ing supervisor right f***ing now.
415 noise.
And put me to the f***ing ground. I f***ing double dog dare you.
Touch me.
This is my home,
touch
bro. You're in my house.
I am telling
You're
you.
in my house.
And there it is. And I'll wind that back. He positioned himself, and then he snatches her and pushes her up against the wall and drags her out. I'm going to run that one more time so you can see it.
Home, bro. You're in my house.
Watch his
You're
body
in my
language
house.
right here.
You're in my house. I didn't touch you. Did I touch you? Did I touch you?
Stop. No.
Did I
Stop.
touch
You can't do anything.
Did I touch
You're just going to make it worse.
Did I touch you? I did not fucking touch you, bro.
Step away.
Now, it's important also to note she did not ever touch him. She was getting verbally aggressive because she was upset, but she never touched him and never indicated that she would. She kept pointing past him. He turned and then broadsided her, pushed her up against the wall, had his hand up by her throat, and then dragged her outside. Not only she did request a supervisor and did not get one. Okay. Also, if he thought he was going to make an arrest, he should have requested a female officer for the obvious reason that she's a female. Rodney says, what training does his behavior is the opposite of professional. Gary Edwards says, power tripping. Raccoon says, maybe he was telling mom to hurry up and flush the goods down the toilet. Yeah, right. There's no probable cause. There's nothing. As I catch up some of these, Baki says people want to back the blue and you get what you get. Yeah, and it depends. It depends. And Raccoon says she was a low-class idiot yelling like that. But she never did actually touch him. But this is a civil rights violation. He had no right to enter the home in the first place, and that's what it's going to come to. Again, he's going to claim hot pursuit. And even the sheriff himself said that they were not aware that this was happening until this video got out onto the internet. Okay? Her charges should be dismissed because he had no right to enter the home in the first place. It doesn't matter what happened when he got in. Also, I got to give credit to the guy in the background. I don't know who the man was. There's a couple of kids and there's someone else who grabbed someone's arm and said, hey, don't, you're just going to make it worse. I can just imagine if that was my wife in the doorway and he snatches her and drags her outside. 90% probability I'd probably overreact and pull him down. That I'd deck the guy. Okay? And that would make it worse because I'll tell you what would happen then is that I would end up getting the shit kicked out of me by 10 cops when I had a couple of accidents on my way into the station. And then I would be sitting in jail with a bond I couldn't afford and facing charges of assault on an officer and resisting arrest and interfering with an arrest and everything else. They would have thrown everything on me. They would have thrown everything on me and it would have stuck too because I wouldn't be able to afford an attorney. Okay? I'd get a court-appointed attorney that would railroad me with some bullshit plea deal. Puck wants the FBI to send the deputy an application. No kidding. But this is, you see clearly what happened here. And she was arrested. She was arrested and is still pending charges. Still pending charges.
You're in my house.
There you go. Misword it so that you can't see the violence very clearly.
Stop! No, stop! You can't do anything. You're just gonna make it worse.
I did not
She's good. Step away.
And by the way, the charge is resisting arrest. The official charge is resisting arrest. Which, you know, if you're snatched up violently and pushed up against the wall and drug out of your home, how can you not resist? Even if you're guilty of something, you're automatically going to resist. Fluke Man says another power trip cop, the city will have to pay for that, for being sued, probably, or there'll be some kind of settlement because that's some very damning evidence. Again, yeah, she was all obnoxious. She used foul language. She said, "Oh, my dog, you know, my dog could bite you," and he was like, "Yeah, make the dog bite me." He would, yeah, I'm sure he would have loved that. You know, actually, they will shoot your dog, and legally they can do that. So that would not have gone well. Tuck is here. Glad you could make it. And Rodney says he's getting comments deleted again. Wow. Never fails, does it? And Puck says another case of stupid cops doing stupid things that end up costing taxpayers millions in the resulting lawsuit. Correct. Because it's not if the police department or the city or the county or whoever has to pay her a dime, that's all taxpayer money. That's all your taxes paying for this. Okay, that's what's going to happen. But he had no right to pursue into the home. A minor answered the door. You were not standing in front of the door. Remember, he walked all the way out onto the yard. Okay, let me back up to that point. Let me see if, there he is. After he rang the doorbell, he wandered all the way out in the yard and looked around. What he's probably doing is looking to see if anyone's looking at him through the mirror, through the windows. All right, that's pretty common. Someone opened the door and saw him and then shut it. a child, clearly, and then went to pursue a parent. Hey, come to the door. There's a police officer out there. He lets himself in, claiming I'm because he ran from me, or they ran from me. I think he said they ran from me. No one ran from him. Someone looked out the door, saw an officer, and closed it, and went to get an adult, basically. That's not hot pursuit. There was no crime. The initial reason that he was out there again was a noise complaint. A noise complaint. A neighbor complained of loud music or loud noises or something. Okay. There's no hot pursuit moment. There's no crime determined. There's no crime determined. He forced entry. And Gary said there should have been more than one LEO in that situation. Yeah, especially if he's dealing with a female, because of searching procedures, he would have needed a female anyways. Because if he searched her, she could say he did anything. That's why they send a female out. That's why they send a female out in those circumstances. I just thought this was really, really interesting. Really interesting. Forces his way in, says he owns her home. Granted, she is overreacting, and I can understand that, to a point. You do want to try to remain calm, but at the same time, you don't want to get into too much of a verbal confrontation, because you might set one of these guys off. You never know what you're going to get. You could get a decent cop, you could get a nut. Somebody who's pissed off because he spilled his coffee in his lap earlier and is just subconsciously chomping at the bit to take it out on somebody. You don't know what's going through these people's minds. You don't know what's going through their minds. And you have to think about the mentality of your average law enforcement officer anyways. And I know somebody who's in law enforcement is going to get mad for me saying this, but you enforce laws every day that you know are crooked. You enforce laws that you know are unethical or immoral or just don't make any damn sense at all, because you're a law enforcement officer, not a police officer. And then Rodney says, ensure you have multiple high-quality security cameras and make sure they don't rely on some online company that loves to cooperate with corrupt officials. Oh, wow. But I think this is really a fascinating story. And that's Riverside Sheriff. And it's now a viral video, which means that they are going to get buried in court. They're going to get buried in court. Raccoon says, I'm sure cops are sick of being treated like crap too. I can't believe they all haven't gone postal. Yeah, because they deal with a lot of nonsense as well. And they're only humans after all. There's a boiling point for everyone, and then you go on to the next thing, and then you just snap off without even attending to. You can transmit a bad attitude to somebody. It can be infectious. Having, for example, worked in retail in my younger days, working in convenience stores and things like that, you have a customer come in and treat you like shit, and it's hard to shake that off. And you could inadvertently be nasty to a couple of people without even thinking about it or realizing it. And training's not going to help. A reduction of hours, so they're not exposed to it as much. But then again, like I pointed out, there's who's that? Dusty getting in the chair behind me. You have to think about the type of person that does that type of work in the first place, knowing that they're enforcing laws that don't make sense or that can seem unethical or immoral. Gary says qualified immunity needs to be reassessed for justice purposes. And Puck says, I've seen plenty of body camera footage of cops interacting calmly with people, way more irritated than this. Yeah, and it depends, because people are people, and they're not perfect. I mean, what are you going to do, replace them all with robots? Hey, don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that there might be Ed 209s in the streets. Because somebody is going to get that reference. Put your weapons down. You have 20 seconds to comply. 15 seconds. And so on and so on. And Tuck says, can anyone recommend a hardwired camera system? I'm not using anything wireless ever again. I don't need more than 4 cameras. 1 monitor DVR compatible is a plus. Yeah, maybe somebody can do that. Or I'm sure you can find, yeah, you know what, though? You can't trust online reviews anymore because they buy those reviews, especially on Amazon. You really can't. Yeah, a couple of people got it. Raccoon and Rodney said, RoboCop, yes, indeed, that is correct. Ed 209 was supposed to be, is the system that RoboCop replaces that Omni Consumer Products was trying to roll out because they thought it could have a good military application. But with that, we are at the top of the hour. We are at the top of the hour. So I will go ahead and start wrapping things up. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Coffee Talk and Prepper University, at Coffee Talk Live, and at Prepper University on ScrewTube. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat, and you can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. So thank you, everybody who was able to join us here today. As always,